So that was the opening to the first track on side two of this album I want to talk about today. And the name of the song is A Bowl and a Pudding. The album is Cousin from Wilco. It was released in late September. And I am now just kind of realizing that this is a really, really good Wilco album. Consider that coming from someone who has seen Wilco a few times, and I just saw Jeff Tweedy in Boulder, Colorado back in, I think it was August. I'm a longtime Wilco fan, but I've been kind of underwhelmed for the last, let's say, 5 years. I have Cruel Country, which was the double album that they put out last year. I haven't even opened the album yet. I just felt that it was too much, maybe a little bloated. And what we get here, I mean, hopefully you heard that. That is ethereal acoustic guitar opening to kind of a nuanced love song. And when I hear that opening acoustic guitar, it kind of sends me back to, dare I say, it sounds like Nick Drake to me. But Tweedy, moves into his own style, and he kind of moves to his own beat, as he always does. The cool thing about Cruel Country, maybe I should show the record. There's our cover. Love the artwork on this. Yeah, the cool thing about this album, listing of the tracks, we have 10 songs. And they're 10... Breaking sports news. There are 10 really finely crafted songs. And importantly, with this album, Jeff Tweedy decided to reach out to Kate Laban. Kate Laban is an indie artist, a generation removed from Jeff Tweedy and the other guys in the band. She's Welsh, and I think she's appeared at Wilco's Solid Sound Festival at least once. And she was kind of on Tweedy's radar. He has talked about her in several interviews over the last couple of years. And what she has done here has added layers and textures and multi-tracking. This is definitely a studio effort. It's not a live in the studio, everybody kind of looking at everyone recording. It's not that. That's kind of what Cruel Country was. And if you think about, and if you listen to these songs, and believe me, you will gain something with repeated listens. It's kind of what we call a grower. This harkens back to those two albums that were produced by Jim O'Rourke. I'm talking about A Ghost is Born and, yes, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Two of the grail records for the real Wilco heads out there. So I'm hoping those people are giving this album a chance and discovering it. I thought Ode to Joy from 2 records back kind of came out in the pandemic, a little bit of a sleepy release. That is something that deserves, returning to again as well. So, talking more about the kind of soundscape and textures on this record, it begins with a song called Infinite Surprise. And what we're getting there is an opening to the song that's really interesting. You're getting the tick-tock sound of a clock in a kind of mechanized way. And you're getting kind of slabs of distortion that's obviously coming from Nels Cline. And then we gently kind of morph into this really interesting song. And it's a fantastic opener, and you know immediately, hey, there's something different with this record. This isn't Ode to Joy. This isn't Cruel Country. Like I said earlier, it makes you think back to the experimental approach that Wilco is so famous for. You know, we're talking about 15, 20 years ago. So the fact that they reached out to Kate LeBon, brought her in, and she, I think, worked with the band, and especially Tweedy, on these songs, as far as coming up with arrangements and textures and nuance. In fact, she's singing backing vocals on track 1, lending a really nice feel to that song. The very next song is called 10 Dead, and Tweedy is kind of leaning into politics here that he has done in the past. And this is all about kind of waking up in the morning and, you know, I think reading into the lyrics, he has found out about another mass shooting here in America. And it's just kind of sleepwalking through his day and being numb to those headlines. You know, I think there's something like 10 dead, 10 dead. What's another, you know, hearing it was 11 dead. What's another one? Something like that. Doesn't matter. Also, a really great sounding tune. Pittsburgh has more kind of finger picking, but then intermixed with ambient, you know, distortion, and it's a fantastic song. Soldier Child and Meant to Be are two prototypical Tweedy songs. If you love old Tweedy, and I'll even go back to, let's say, Anodyne, those would not be out of place on like Anodyne from Uncle Tupelo, of course, maybe Being There as well. And then kind of the lead song that they released first was Evicted. Now, Evicted is a gorgeous Tweedy song in that kind of traditional acoustic-based Wilco, and something that is kind of like a warm blanket if you're a Tweedy and Wilco fan. But what I love about this album is the fact they brought in the outside producer, and also let me talk about the pressing and the record itself and the sound. So this, of course, is on their DBPM label. And, you know, this is a serious piece of vinyl. It almost has squared off edges. I don't know if you're gonna be able to pick that up. I don't think so. But a really nice piece of wax and perfectly pressed, very, very, very quiet. I've got zero surface noise on this. This is one of the best sounding records of the year for me. And I also think it's one of the best records of the year. One of the best Wilco records, you know, I'm repeating myself, but one of the best Wilco records I've heard in a very long time. This was cut by Chris Bellman, someone who is familiar to all of us, so you should expect a quality pressing, and that's what we got. Interesting soundscapes, interesting textures. This is a fantastic record, and highly recommended. Cousin Wilco, released in September of 2023, and I felt, you know, it's nice. I felt the need to talk about this and kind of spread the goodwill about this record. Hat tip to Mike at Hub Tunes. He just did a Wilco-centered video, and it kind of got me thinking that, you know what, this is worth talking about, and I'm happy I did. Take care.